And what's good, everybody? Welcome into the live episode of the Coach and Bro Show. And you know, if we're live today, that it's a very, very special day. I am the coach, and we drop 2 episodes every single week right here on the Behind the Turnbuckle. I encourage all of you to subscribe and be a part of what we are doing on multiple brands. Now, big day in the world of pro wrestling. As you know, unless you've been in a cave or under a rock, the biggest deal in pro wrestling commences tonight. $5 billion, 10 years, $500 million, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown internationally to go to Netflix. So we felt like we needed to go live today. If the chat, you want to ask any questions, let us know. Today will be the only day that we'll take all the questions, no questions asked. Now, my partner here on the show, he was one of the original Monday Night Raw. He was the head writer when Monday Night Raw went into the universe. So I think of nobody better to weigh in today than my partner, my friend, my brother, the one and only Vince Russo from russosbrand.com. Good afternoon, sir.
Coach, what is going on, my friend? Yes, a big night. Everybody looking forward to tonight. The most important thing to me tonight is, now, I'm getting mixed reports, Coach.
Okay.
I'm getting mixed reports. Now, the time that the show airs here in Colorado is 6 to 9. But I am getting reports that if you start watching later, you can rewind back.
Oh,
Coach, listen, here's my concern. I cannot sit in front of my TV screen for 3 hours. I mean, there is just no way I can do that. So I'm more concerned tonight with experimenting and trying to figure out how I can start watching this show later, rewind to the beginning, and fast forward through it to catch up in real time. That's the question, Coach.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point because I hadn't really thought about that because when I watch it, it starts at 5 o'clock my time. I'm in California. And then we do the last word, which with the last word as soon as Raw is over. So I'm going to try what you just said. I have a different concern than you do. I have heard through the grapevine that tonight could go anywhere from 3.5 to 4 hours long. They are buying in that this could be the WrestleMania of all Raws. When you look at the list of matches and appearances, it's better than last year's WrestleMania. But Vince, now that there is no stop time, can you imagine if they do go 4 hours tonight?
I Coach, I can't. I can't. That's why I'm saying, man, I'm saying this as an absolute shoot because I, review SmackDown and I review Raw. I don't know how long I can go 6 hours. I really don't. I'm gonna try. I did my first 3-hour SmackDown on Friday. But man, I don't know how long I can go with 6 hours of wrestling a week.
It does. It begs the question. The hardcore wrestling fan is going to love this at the start. But if anybody's watched us or watched, and Raphael's in the chat right now, a big part of Behind the Turnbuckle. The problem is, Vince, is that the hardcore fan will love this. And I feel like the WWE they've done a phenomenal job of marketing this. I can't think of a better, and if you're going to be in a partnership, remember what Fox and SmackDown never really got along after the launch. I feel like Netflix understands that this could be the catalyst because if they get into basketball, whatever, this is the one live event that is 52 weeks a year. So the investment, nobody has said, what are they doing? They want to get into live events. So this marketing, and this is the kind of partnership that you want. They're putting talent on NFL games on Christmas Day. That was very, very, very telling to me. But it's going to be a slippery slope because if you're giving them WrestleMania tonight, and I want you to listen to some sound because you knew behind the scenes, not everybody was happy. This is creative talking about certain wrestlers politicking behind closed doors to be a part of the episode tonight. Producer man.
When talent are talking about it or the writers are talking about it, it's like, well, geez, I really should be on the episode I should be on that first episode on the 6th, right? Well, we have an episode on the 13th too.
Yeah.
You're going to be on the second episode, and you're going to main event the second episode as instead of being a piece of the first episode, right? So it's trying to space that stuff all out, and we've had to get ahead of the storytelling to try to make sure that there's enough storytelling to blend across things. When talent are talking about it, or the writers are talking about it, it's like, well, geez, I really should be on the episode I should be on that first episode on the 6th, right? Well, we have an episode on the 13th too.
Yeah.
You're going to be on the second episode, and you're going to main event the second episode as instead of being a piece of the first episode, right? So it's trying to space that stuff all out, and we've had to get ahead of the storytelling to try to make sure that there's enough storytelling.
Listen, Coach, this is why you and I do this show, because this is my God, this is just freaking lip service. Let's explain to everybody what's happening here, Coach, because you and I spent many a year in a locker room. Yep. This is exactly what's happening. Triple H himself has called this the biggest show in the history of the WWE, which I would challenge that. I mean, I would have to say the first WrestleMania. I don't think anything's ever going to trump the first WrestleMania.
I agree with that.
Let's not get crazy, okay? So now Triple H himself is touting this is the biggest show in the history of the company. And Triple H has to secure a huge number to show Netflix and to flex his muscles.
Yes.
So who are we going to get on the show? We're going to get bona fide superstars that are not on the show every week. We're going to get The Rock. We're going to get Logan Paul. I'm reading today that Hulk Hogan is going to be on the show. Now, you've got to remember, when they bring in these heavy hitters to do a number, they are taking somebody's spot who has been on Raw every single week. This Coach, is when the problems start in the locker room. This is not a family atmosphere. This is not a family environment. Professional wrestling, since it was built on independent contracts, is every man for himself. So, Rock being on this show, there's grumblings. Logan Paul, grumblings. Hulk Hogan, grumblings. John Cena, grumblings. And who else? Who else are they going to bring back for this first show? But that's exactly what's going on, Coach. You and I both know that.
So here's the deal. I'm a little bit surprised that Triple H would even bring up, even though you and I know that it happened, but would bring up that wrestlers are complaining behind the scenes for this one. That surprised me a little bit too.
Yes.
But in order for Netflix to get the number that they want, there's already, I would say most people that love sports or wrestling has Netflix. Would you agree? Like most people do.
Yeah.
Right? So in order to make back the $5 billion on top of what they're already making, they need to have the casual fan, the grandmother, the grandfather, the mom, the dad that doesn't watch wrestling. And if you put out, I don't want to insult anybody, a random talent, as opposed to The Rock or John Cena, who random people know from movies, they know them outside of wrestling. That's how you're going to in. The other part of this that he said, I'm trying to figure out who not on the show tonight, Vince, that's going to main event Raw next week. Because he just said it. He's like, hey, hold off. And you're going to main event Raw next week. So who is that exactly going to be on week number 2 when you don't cliff numbers wise that you promised somebody they'd be a main event that's not already on the show tonight?
Yeah, Coach, you bring up a couple of really interesting points. So let me volley it back to you.
Okay.
Why would he make this statement? I wasn't even thinking about that, Coach. I was so reading into what he was saying, and I knew what was happening, but I never asked myself the question, why would he make that statement at all? I'm curious to see your reasoning behind that.
First and foremost, he has a big ego. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it sounded like it was an interview or a podcast. And some podcasts, you just start talking. And he could have been talking in hypotheticals. I don't believe that he was. In all my times there, the reason that it was so competitive and the shows were so compelling, because you had guys like Rock, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Kane, Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian, like the list goes on, and they were actively in Vince's office asking to have their time on the show. So it doesn't surprise me that it's happening.
Right.
It's just surprised me that he said it. So it also tells me it's been happening a lot, that there's been more than one, that several people. And I remember it was really around WrestleManias where you hear a lot of people, oh, I don't have a WrestleMania match. And I used to tell guys, it's not a given. Just because you've worked 52 weeks a year does not mean that you deserve to be on January 6th on Netflix or on WrestleMania. Invest in your own brand. Don't sit up in the seats every day. Come up with ideas. They may say no, but look at the New Day. The New Day had no. You're out of the business 10 years ago. And look what they've done the last 10 years. And so this is a natural wrestling thing. But Triple H, he voiced the cold open. By the way, have you seen it yet? The cold open?
I saw that they posted it, but I did not watch it, Coach.
It's actually very compelling.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because when Vince was in charge, he hated being on camera unless it was the Vince character. Everything that we're seeing right now is Triple H is out front. It's Triple H showing up for the Raw party at the headquarters, right? And when you're the head of creative and you're not going to be in a main event match, why are you not having somebody that is on the show? Because they just posted Drew McIntyre watching the cold open from that. Drew McIntyre's pissed because he's not even in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to me, the bigger question, and I'll throw it back to you, is why is Triple H the voice and the face of everything when you need to build stars? Why can you not give it? How about Logan Paul voices it? Or somebody that you wouldn't expect on the video go, oh, they're pretty talented. Oh, she's pretty talented. That's what I would do.
Coach, you're asking me and you want me to tell you?
Yes.
I got to hit my conspiracy theory button, Coach. Hold on, Coach. Coach, what have I been predicting all along?
Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
That within 18 months, Triple H would not be the face of the WWE anymore.
Yes. So who's going to open up Raw tonight? Listen, you drive the line. You and your boys over there. Raphael was in the room. Who's going to open Raw? The Rock is going to open up Raw. Not Triple H. So is this their way of appeasing? Give them let them voice over the cold open. And how does Triple H feel about not opening up Raw? See, this is, people need to understand, Coach. This is why we do this show. We know the players, we know the games, we know the egos. Of course, you're going to open up this show with The Rock. If you don't, you're an idiot. But if you're opening up the show with The Rock, Triple H is taking a back seat. So, yeah, man, let's put him in. Let's let him voice over the cold open. He still ain't opening the show. You're going to sit there and tell me Triple H does not want to be the first one out the gate on Netflix?
100%. Remember last year in Vegas for WrestleMania when they had the big thing on stage? Do you remember who the first person was out?
It was Triple H and then Stephanie, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And this is, I think it needs to be very clear for people who are watching right now. Come to the Coach and Bro show because you get it straight. We're not haters. We love and we criticize equally, but we spent a combined 20 years in the WWE, and don't stop because you stop wrestling. And Triple H has always been, and this was his kind of his knock when he went from DX Triple H to wearing suits. I remember he walked into a meeting one time, and we're so used to the black leather jacket and the blue jeans, and all of a sudden he's in a suit and tie. We're like, who the hell is who is that guy? Because he's always learned to play the game, so to speak. I've always gotten along with Triple H. I think he's a really good dude. I think he's a nice person. I also think that he's feeling the pressure that you talk about. That as they start to get along, new deal, TKO, who owns both the UFC and the WWE, they're all about money. And they talk about money all the time. You don't hear the executives talking about storylines. You don't hear the COO talking about storyline. They're talking about raising ticket prices. We're talking, all the stuff outside of what the fans come for. And so if Triple H, and by the way, the reason The Rock is starting the show is, and I'm predicting this right now, this is what's going to happen because Vince, you're an incredible writer. They need to have 4 or 5 minutes for Michael Cole to lay the scene, to set the scene. And it's going to be, welcome to a new era. We're in Los Angeles. We're in this. And that takes time. And it takes somebody with a really long entrance, with really good entrance music that they can talk over, that the fans can just watch. That's, I think, the biggest reason. Plus, he's a face that everybody knows. Do you think that the Triple H's ego can admit it, won't admit it, or already has admitted it?
Well, Coach, somebody's saying in the chat room, Triple H is opening Raw already reported. PW Insider reported it more than 2 hours ago. You know what? If he does, that's a huge mistake off the bat.
Wow.
A huge mistake. Again, that's catering to the wrestling audience. Triple H is a fraction of a mainstream star when compared to The Rock. And if you are not opening up the show with The Rock's music and entrance to maybe appease a Triple H ego, you are making a huge mistake, Coach, off the bat.
I say it all the time. You're watching the Coach and Bro show, huge live number already. We may have to go live every week, Vince, because there's already a lot of people watching us live. I always say this, there is no substitute for star power. And when you have a chance to get, in my opinion, the biggest star in and out of the business to start your show, why would you not do that? And if they make, and this would be a bigger mistake, Vince, if they decide to just have Rock there to get involved in the Roman situation, that would be completely throwing away. But what he posted yesterday, social media, about his going back to Samoa, that was an old video, but I think it's very strategic for the storylines that we're going to see coming as he's positioning himself as the head of the table and not Roman or Solo. And if they do that tonight, when I've got 4 months to work on that, to me, that's a bigger mistake.
Well, think about this, Coach. We know when they premiered on Fox, who opened the show? The Rock opened on Fox. And if Triple H is saying this is the biggest show in the history, that means it's bigger than Fox. It makes 0 sense for Triple H to open this show.
Let's read some comments from the people that are tuning in right now. Thank you guys very much. Certified G. I always used to hear, start the show hot, and The Rock is the way to go. When you were writing Raw, where would you always start in your mind?
Exactly. Who was that? A certified G? Exactly what he just said. Start the show hot. And nobody's going to stand there and tell me Triple H is hotter than The Rock. Nothing against Triple H. I mean, The Rock is a bona fide movie star. Bona fide. Triple H is not. Triple H is a wrestling star. Huge difference, Coach.
And what about this from a betting perspective? I was always the one that said wrestling betting is the dumbest thing that you can do. It's huge now. Global books. And Raphael in the chat said Triple H opens and the books clean up. I get a raise. The odds are that it's Rock and then Cena. Triple H isn't even in the top 2 as far as who you can bet on to open the show tonight. And I'll be putting out a video later this afternoon because we've got odds all over the place. But if the books don't think that Triple H should open the show, why does Triple H think that he should open the show?
Again, Coach, we have talked about this for months. The touchy situation with The Rock and Triple H going all the way back to when they first started working together. Okay, that has not disappeared. That is still there. So we are talking about a lot of egos, and we've got to massage egos. And that's why, to me, it does make sense. Let Triple H do the cold open. Let him introduce the show. Then here comes Rock out of the gate. If Triple H does the cold open and then Triple H comes out of the gate, I feel you've made a huge mistake from the get-go.
You can't have the same voice do both.
No.
You can't. And so maybe what a certified G is referring to is that Triple H's voice will be on the cold open tonight. Then they hit the Rock's music.
Yeah.
That would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But then let's address one other thing that Triple H said. Number 2, we have also said it's a very slippery slope when you give anybody, because we saw it at Fox with SmackDown. They gave them the world the first 2 or 3 weeks, and then did that every single week. Netflix is playing a lot more than Fox did to get SmackDown. And they will also have SmackDown internationally because Netflix is now, I believe, in 85% of the world. So if you're giving Netflix this to start, what do you do in week number 2, week number 3, week number 4, when it's whoever Triple H is talking about will be in the main event? Maybe it's your boy Sami Zayn. Who knows?
Coach, mistake number 2, and we are looking at history repeating itself. The numbers are there. I say that all the time. Go back and look at the first number for that for the SmackDown on Fox. Then look what happened the next 3 weeks after that. Look what happened. Because, Coach, I'm telling you, here's Triple H, man. You know, the biggest show in the history of the WWE. I'll be honest with you, Coach. I'd be pulling back, knowing show 2, show 3, show 4 is going to be nowhere close to the first show. So if it was me and you have such a stacked show out of the gate, pull it back if you know you're not going to be able to follow it, Coach.
I would have gone with 2 hours. Like we always were taught less is more. And when you're 52 weeks a year, give me 2 hours. Yep. And then all of a sudden, they're like, man, I want more of that. I want more of that. I want more of that. Think about this. Really good suggestion in the chat from Red. He says, oh, hell yeah. Broken Skull Music opens the show, and Austin 316 opens a can of whoop-ass butt. The guy must open. What if it was a swerve and Stone Cold Steve Austin came out to start the show? How would you feel about that?
Well, I've been reading a lot about that, and obviously it could be a swerve, but still, listen. Austin's no Rock. I'm sorry. We're talking about perhaps the biggest movie star in the world. Triple H, Austin, wrestling stars in the world. Biggest, absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Austin does not supersede The Rock. I'm just being honest, Coach. He doesn't.
You're always honest. That's why I love you. You're always honest. And anybody that watches our show and doesn't just read social media will understand that. By the way, California Conversation says, just so you know, Vince, any promotion that you were involved with, I always watched it faithfully, just based off the fact that I know it was going to be good because you were working there. That is the Vince Russo that I know. So thank you,
Here's
California.
the coach I know from California Conversation. Can we get some heel, Coach, before the live ends? Always been a fan of you. Hated you in my childhood. That's how good you really are. Much respect to you, Coach.
Well, thank you very much. Speaking of heels, and maybe I took my sunglasses out of here because I can only do heel coach.
What if we're all wrong?
How so?
What if R.D. McDonough opens the show, Coach? R.D. McDonough comes out with a mic, Coach. What then, Coach? What then?
Oh God. Could that really be the case? Then is Finn Balor gonna follow him out there?
What are the odds that R.D. McDonough is one of the guys that got bumped off tonight's show?
Oh my God!
Yeah, we'll have to look and see. Yeah.
Speaking of stars, and this was just announced earlier today. And I don't like to get into negative past, but there are certain things when you do them that, and this is, I guess, why wrestling is the one world where anything can go. So the WWE and Netflix have entered into a partnership with Hulk Hogan and his new light beer that he launched in June 2024. In addition to that, they are now a minority owner in said beer company, and there will be on the mat in the ring the logo of the beer, just like they did with Prime with Logan Paul. Now they're getting into the beer game with Hulk Hogan. I always got along with him as a person, but knowing when he has really shown his true colors, when he doesn't think anybody is listening, I have a really hard time even having Hulk Hogan a part of the show. But maybe that's just me as a black man. I don't know. But are you surprised that they're partnering with a beer with Hulk Hogan?
Here's what I'm surprised about, Coach, and I really feel if this is the lack of experience and knowledge on Endeavor's part. Coach, we're dealing with huge egos here. Like, seriously, we're talking Hulk Hogan, Triple H, The Rock, Logan Paul. We're dealing with huge egos. And I'm just telling you, man, you've got to take some of these things into consideration. Yeah, man, everything's going to be hunky-dory at the business at the beginning. We're all getting a piece of the pie. We're all going to work together. Coach, how long does that last? A month?
Not long.
A month?
Not long.
Tops? I don't... Listen, without a shadow of a doubt, you need The Rock. No question about it. You need The Rock more than The Rock needs you. Can you say the same about Hulk Hogan right now? Who needs who more? Hulk
no
Hogan,
question.
Yeah, no question, which, again, Coach, based on what you said, he does have some heat in that locker room. And if they put him on the show, he is going to be bumping somebody else off of the show. Coach, this is how it starts. You know that.
He's the one guy that I would. So here's what Jeezy said. I wasn't going to go there. That's what we talk about real stuff here. He says fans bash Hogan for saying the N-word, gave Kevin Owens an Excalibur pass when they said the same N-word at a PWG show in front of 10 people, and also Sabu. That's not the story at all. The story is his daughter was dating a black man, and he said it many, many, many times. But Vince can even forgive that. I was in the room.
Right.
You remember when they signed Arabia? The original deal was about $20 or $30 million a year, $10 million per show, plus expenses. The Saudi Arabian government or whoever was paying for it, they wanted Hulk Hogan.
Right.
Hulk had been scrubbed from everything WWE.
Right.
They made him come back to apologize to the black wrestlers, me included, and the entire room. What do you think he did? Man, I'm embarrassed. But I was drunk that night. Immediately went to I was drunk, which made me say those things. And that's when I lost all respect. There was no ownership. There was nothing. And that at his core, who he is. Because you don't say that word over and over and over and over and over. And so now if you're a talent and you're sitting in the locker room and you're like, man, I've worked my ass off this year. I deserve, and I hate that word because you don't deserve shit, but I deserve to have at least a mention, a pre-tape, something on this biggest show ever financially that the company has ever had, and you're going to bring that guy in? I would have a problem too. I would have no issues with Hogan, with Rock, Cena. I'd have a big problem with losing my spot to Hogan.
And on top of that, Coach, if you're a talent, how much of a problem are you really going to have if Vince McMahon is still in charge? If Vince McMahon is still in charge, you ain't going to say nothing. No matter how you feel, you're not going to say a word. Triple H is not Vince McMahon, which means you're going to get that chatter in the locker room, Coach. And you and I know, man, that's how it all starts.
There was a lot more bravado when you had guys like the true OGs, like The Undertaker, like a Shawn Michaels, and when they would quietly complain, everybody's like, okay, I get that. But with this new breed and this new kind of talent, I mean, you could put name after name after name in front of me, and what we saw last week with Seth and CM Punk was as real as it gets. I don't think behind closed doors that realness is really going on, because Vince, right now in the wrestling business, there's two places. You can go to AEW and wrestle in front of 3,000 people, or you can stay in WWE. But there's the only places you can make six figures, and nobody wants to lose that deal. So I don't think that there's a lot of people bitching openly about Hogan, but privately, oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
And
Oh my
coach, I'll
goodness.
tell you what I'm doing. Again, I'm putting on my writer hat.
Okay.
You want to get somebody over who's not over? Have them hit the ring and cut a promo on exactly what we're talking about. That's how
That would be
that's how you get somebody over.
but they won't do that
No, they won't do that.
because
They
that's
won't do that.
controversial.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
but I guess it's not controversial to just forget. And whether you're the Republican National Convention or whether you are Monday Night Raw, I guess it doesn't matter. But I would have a big problem with that if I was a main event talent.
Yeah.
Watching the Coach and Bro show, and we have an incredible live audience right now. So Vince, I think the audience has made the. I think we have to go live every day that we're on.
Well, Coach, I want to, since we got such a big live audience, I'd like to make a statement to make it clear to everybody in the room. Coach, is that cool?
Yeah, go for it.
Coach, I want everybody to know, I don't look at Coach as a black man. I look at Coach as an Italian man, Coach. I look at you as an Italian man, Coach, and that's why you and I get along so well, Coach. I just want you to know, Coach, you got that Italian nose, and that's why I look at you as my Italian brother, Coach.
That's why I can criticize Triple H. You know what? Nobody's ever focused on my beautiful Italian nose, but I have credibility. Damn it.
Yes.
Damn it, do I have credibility?
Yes. And that's why, Coach, that's why you will never get this. You'll never get this, Coach, because you are one of us. You are one of us, Coach.
Too much sauce, says Hulk Hogan and New Day segment loading. Oh, my God. Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah. See, that's what I'm talking about, though. That's great TV, man. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go there. That's what I'm talking about.
Do you think there would ever be a world where Hulk Hogan would agree to do something like that? Because you'd have to write it creatively.
That's a great question, Coach. But Coach, what motivates Hulk Hogan? Exactly. And that's what I used to love about Kevin Nash. Whenever you asked Kevin Nash to do something, he would look at you and he'd say two words: "How much?" And I love that about Kevin. So do I think Hogan would do it for a price? Absolutely, I do.
If he had a guarantee, or I mean, even at this point, he's what, 68, 69? I mean, he got $2 million from the Saudis for one show. That pissed off a lot of talent. It would piss me off too. If I was making $300,000 and you paid him 6 times one show and one trip to Saudi, I'd have an issue with that. Yeah. But oh man, that would be the most talked about segment.
Absolutely.
Maybe in the history of the show.
Absolutely. Yep.
I go down tonight in addition to John Cena and The Rock, because every big star, or in their mind, big star that they have, is on the show tonight. Drew McIntyre, who's my favorite. He's a good dude, first and foremost.
Yeah.
He cares about the business. He's an absolute stud. He just got a new contract around last WrestleMania. And he sat down in a video. And when he does it, even if it's not real, it feels real to me, right? And he sat down and he watched the video they made for Raw on Netflix, and he wasn't even in it. And the first person was Cody Rhodes, then Roman Reigns, and all these SmackDown guys. And you're going to preach to me the brand split, which is stupid. But Drew's a part of it tonight. And sometimes we criticize about throwing something together. But I'm very much looking forward to Jey Uso and watching that new Intuit Dome, who's got, it's the biggest technological advanced arena in the world. I don't know how they're going to be able to play it in tonight, but hopefully they do. But can you imagine? It's 17,000 yeeting, and then here comes Drew McIntyre with that slow music and that slow walk, and it's such a different situation. I'm looking forward to that because I think Drew McIntyre in 2024, he was my MVP.
Yeah, I love Drew, man. I am a big fan of Drew. You know what it is, man? Just listen to Drew cut a promo. It's not a promo. He's talking to you. He's
Mm-hmm.
taking his time. He's putting emphasis on the right words. It never comes across as a wrestling promo. It always comes across as a discussion. I'm a huge fan. I have a feeling they're probably going to use him to get out of that main event with Punk and Seth Rollins.
Seth.
That's where they may use him. But yeah, man, I'm a huge fan of Drew McIntyre.
I wonder how Jay feels about. I don't know if you saw it all, but they are rolling out Dodger themed merch for Cena, and it looks very, very similar to his number one selling blue, white, and white shirt. Yeah, that's it. That's been number one for Jey Uso. When you look at the two, I mean, they're almost identical, but it's like the John Cena farewell tour. And since it's in LA, they thought they would do it in Dodgers colors. But it'll be interesting to see if his shirt takes a hit because all this other blue and white stuff is selling, because that cut matters. Details like that really matter. And backstage, that he doesn't like the fact that that's what they're rolling out tonight in Los Angeles.
Yeah. But on the other side of that coin, if he wants to look at it from a business point of view, he does have the opportunity to maybe switch colors over and come up with brand new merch that he could double down on. If he were smart, that's what I would do.
God, I love how your mind works. By the way, Angel in the chat, interesting take here. No Orton on the show, but he's on all the latest promotional videos. I wonder how Triple H sold that idea to Randy. Maybe Randy is the one that Triple H was talking about, because he would be a guy that if you put him in the main event next week, that would make sense because he's a main event talent. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and again, Angel, do we really know Orton's not on the show? Guys, I'm telling you that they're keeping a lot tonight close to the vest. And Coach, you and I know these dirt sheets may think they know, but we've known the WWE to give out, wrong reports to dirt sheets before. So, quite frankly, Coach, I'm not ruling anybody out, tonight. I mean, let's see who they, who they bring on out there. I'd love to see Charlotte back tonight. I'd love to see Becky back tonight. I think, Coach, they're going to pull out all the stops. And if Randy Orton can walk to the ring and talk, why wouldn't you have him on this show?
That would make no sense not to have him on the show.
Right.
What I'm interested in is how they the commercials, because that will dictate how they write the show, write the matches. Because if it's one long stream of 3.5 or 4 hours and they're always on, now that changes everything, because now you've got to have the backstage segments correctly situated. You got to have the matches, and then at commercials they usually do a hold for 3 minutes. You can't do that anymore. Are they going to do side by side? Is it going to be full blown commercials? Are they going to be rolling out in a month that you can pay $25.99 for commercial lists? But if you get commercial lists, then what's going to air during that time that the commercials air?
Right.
So there's a lot of things that I'm interested in finding out, which it all translates to we need more talent. We need more talent that can compete and can show up and can command the microphone. And to me, I think Becky is the one female on the women's side they desperately need back, and Charlotte's a very close number 2. And I think both show up tonight.
Coach, we saw that on SmackDown. What was the difference between a 2-hour show and a 3-hour show? The length of matches. Nothing else was different than other than the matches being a lot longer. And again, man, I just believe 3, 4, 5 weeks in, that's exactly what we're going to fall into. Just much longer matches, which the casual wrestling fan is not interested in.
Go ahead and hit that like button for us. You're watching the first ever live Coach and Bro show. And doing it live allows for you, the fan at home, to interact with us. And also, we'll be doing special shows where you can send out super stickers and we can read your thing. We also have a platform, Vince, that I'm trying to talk you into. It's brand new, never been launched before. But I think there's a lot of people in the chat that would love to, A, cut a promo on you, B, think they can cut the best promo. So we're gonna have contests. We're gonna have people that they can come on literally on a virtual stage to be able to be a part of that. I'm excited. Are you excited for that? Because I feel like
game.
you should.
I'm game for it. I love involving the people. I really do. I especially love involving the people that get it. You know, the wrestling marks, not so much. The people that understand this is a business, this is a television show. You know, we come on here. Listen, man, we've got no ties to any wrestling companies out there, Coach. We've been there. We've done that. We're both doing our own thing. We're doing it together. And that's why I like when people come here. You want the truth. You want to know how it really is. The people in this chat room right now can handle all that.
Yeah, they absolutely can. You guys have been amazing. We want friends, all your family, tell them about the Coach and Bro show, because we're just getting started. We've only been on for 3 or 4 months and we're already growing really, really fast. How about this? Triple H, years ago, WrestleMania 18, he convinced Vince McMahon that the World Heavyweight Championship was the most important championship in the business, and it should be treated as such. And so that was the year where they decided, after The Rock and Hulk Hogan, biggest match in the history of WrestleMania, they would then have Triple H and Chris Jericho. To this day, the biggest mistake that I've ever seen in the wrestling business. So I say that to say this. Revamped Wrestling says no Gunther. And Gunther, last time I checked, is the World Heavyweight Champion.
Coach, I lost
you for a second.
I lost you at the end there. But you're talking about
Gunther.
Yeah. Listen, bro, there are a lot of people on this roster I like, Coach. Everybody thinks I'm a hater, this and that. No, man, I critique the writing of this show. That's what I critique. There are a lot of people I like on this show. They don't write the show. Let's be clear. Gunther does not write the show. But Coach, when I watch Gunther, man, I just have more and more of a feeling of, Coach, I just don't think they know what to do with them. Because, you know, you've got a champion that you're doing nothing with. How if you don't know what to do with the guy, why are you putting the belt on him in the first place?
That's my question.
Right,
yes.
But the fact that he does have the belt, that should be, you know, one of the priorities on the show, and it's not. I don't think they know what to do with him, Coach.
Well, Cody Rhodes can. I think it's as simple as this. Cody Rhodes can cut a. He's the face of the company. He's Mr. WWE, and we both, I think, feel like he's being undervalued and underutilized. But then Gunther, if you put him out there, imagine this. So imagine Gunther on one side and CM Punk or The Rock or John Cena or anybody that can use the mic correctly. And we saw last week the level that you've got to be at if you want to be right there when it comes to making me buy into something from a promo perspective. Gunther can't do that. He's a wrestler that's not all that entertaining. He's very stiff. And I don't think in 2024 that resonates with this wrestling crowd. So that's why you say they don't know what to do with him, because I don't think he should be an elevated talent anyway, because his style does not match up with the wrestling fan. That's how I feel.
Yeah, that's a great point, Coach. He is a little bland, especially as your champion. I do think he can cut a decent promo. I think they could put him in a program with Kaiser, and you know, again, so much of this is just in the writing and the presentation. But if you're going to have him in that spot, you need to be doing something with him, Coach.
No question. No question. Or else it doesn't mean anything. I mean, they have elevated the Intercontinental title far more than the World Heavyweight. Braun Breaker and Jey Uso and all those guys, that's been elevated way more than the world title. And
Yeah.
that's a mistake, according to Triple H.
Yeah.
We're just talking about what Triple H does, not what we say.
Right.
Not
Absolutely.
what we say.
Right.
A couple of things. Can we always go about 45 minutes to 60 minutes? We are on Mondays and Thursdays. Follow our YouTube channel here, Behind the Turnbuckle. You can get BTT and also Coach and Bro Show. So let's close with this. I want your final take on the last match. Clearly, has got to be CM Punk and Seth Rollins. And I got to believe that they have a really cool package, maybe even multiple packages, that they're going to roll out throughout the night of the promo segment we got last Monday night to really set up the hatred and the venom that is real when you're talking about these two guys. How do you think it ultimately plays out?
First of all, Coach, again, man, when I was there and I was writing Raw, Attitude Era, the number one most important thing was the title. Everybody wanted the title. Everybody was gunning for the title. Taker, Kane, Mick Foley, Austin, Rock, everybody was gunning for the title. Coach, here we are again. The title's not the main event. You've got to change that, guys. You've got to make the champion and the title the most important thing on the show. Now, if I know the way the WWE, usually does things, Coach, and, we both watch every show, they have been having Drew literally take out everybody that teamed up with Roman Reigns in the War Games match. He has not gotten to CM Punk yet. I think that is their easiest out of this match. I don't think they're going to put one of those guys over the other. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they've saved the Drew McIntyre. The last guy he's going to get to is CM Punk because he was a part of that match. But unfortunately, Coach, that's going to bring us right back to Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, which I feel they've done to death.
Done that for 6 or 8 months, but it really leads to one very, very. It's one of your New Year's resolutions, hopes, dreams. Is will Seth Rollins tonight throw one good? That's the question, Vince.
Yeah. Why start tonight, Coach? Why start tonight? Come on, Coach. Why start tonight?
Live odds for that match tonight: CM Punk -200, Seth Rollins +150. Those are the current live odds. You can see them over at mybookie.ag. If you what we're talking about, watch the show tonight, and then come back on Thursday and tell me if Seth Rollins, who is admittedly one of the greats, but he can't throw a punch. And the forearm shiver isn't a forearm shiver. It's more of a forearm shake.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just wouldn't hurt anybody. And then you watch guys go out there. There was an old video this week came across my my social media of Dean Malenko years ago with Chris Jericho, where he had you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
He then commenced to beating down Jericho, and it looked so real, and I doubt he even touched him at all.
Yeah.
I mean, those were great.
That's the thing I always say, Triple H, so much now they want to say this era is so much better than the Attitude Era. Triple H has said it numerous times. Guys, all you have to do is, nobody talks about this aspect of the Attitude Era. Coach, when you go back and you watch the Attitude Era, every single fight looks real. I don't care if D'Lo's in the ring, the headbangers, I don't care who's in the ring. Everything looks like a fight. And there's just so much stuff I see today that, and I'm speaking for casual fans as well, they wouldn't believe that in a million years.
That's the thing, is if you're going to be in this business, and you see people all the time go, man, it's a brutally tough business physically. Yes, it is if you make it that. And the one thing that we always did, because I had a lot of matches, you apologize before you go out.
Right.
And you say, hey, listen, man, I know that I've got to give you 5 chops. I took 33 chops in one of the Royal Rumbles that I was in. 33. Do you think I complained about those 33 shots?
Yeah.
Not for a freaking second. And to me, if you're going to be a main event star and the cameras are going to be right there 1 or 2 feet from you, and you can't hit Bronson Reed at 350 with a really good punch,
Right.
what are we doing?
Yeah, I'm with you,
What are we
Coach.
doing?
I am with you 100%.
That's how you get the casual fan when they just happen to be flipping by.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
That's a fight. That's a fight.
Yep.
I remember I was fighting my first pay-per-view win. You had a few. You're a former world heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
And I remember it was me, Dean Malenko, and Tajiri. And we were just kind of going over what our match was going to look like. And they said, hey, you know, Ric Flair normally goes 20, 25 minutes. We think you can. I said, no, I only need like 10 or 12. And so I remember Tajiri used to fake that he couldn't speak English after living in the United States for 12 years. So I said to him, hey, Tajiri, as long as I get my shit in, we're going to be okay. And he looked at me and goes, you have shit? Dean Malenko says, no, he is the shits. So there's a huge Oh, my God. God bless Dean Malenko. Fighting a difficult health fight right now. But, man, what a good dude that dude is. Vince, it's going to do it for today, man. Thanks for doing this live. This was awesome.
This
really,
was
really
awesome. And I want to thank all of you guys for coming in here and joining the conversation, man. Great doing it live, man. Great getting the feedback from you guys.
Yeah, we absolutely love it. So we may do this more. We may do this every time. We'll talk about it. But we do want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Turn on your notifications. Also follow Vince, russosbrand.com. He does shows all the time. They're super smart. They're super funny. And this is a place that you're going to come. There's no agenda. There's nobody here trying to get back to the WWE or trying to get to AEW. We just have a lot of years of business. We enjoy the business, and we want you guys to enjoy it as well. So with that being said, for Vince Russo, for producer man behind the scenes, I am the coach. We'll see you on Thursday for the next episode of the one and the only Coach and Bro Show. Take care.